Yeah.
way.
So I see Andy Ross from City of Livermore. Do we have anybody from the public?
We do. We have 2 attendees in the public.
Okay. I think I was told the applicant on the item here will also, maybe that's who we have. Okay. Do we have a quorum or you want to introduce April? Is that what you want to do, Rachel, first? Is that the first thing you want to do?
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you, Chair. So April, if you can join us.
Here I am. Let's go here.
So before we begin roll call, I just would like to introduce our new member to Alameda LAFCO team, and that is April Rafael, who will be our new commission clerk at Alameda LAFCO. And, you know, she has a background in health management and has experience working with the County of Alameda. And I am very excited, and I think our commission is very excited to have you here, April. And I just want to give you a warm welcome, and I know our commissioners will as well.
Thank you, Rachel. I'm very happy and glad to be here and working with all of you.
Welcome.
I can tell you nobody is happier than Rachel.
Absolutely.
Congratulations on the job, and I hope you enjoy it.
I will. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Congratulations. We welcome you. We're glad you're with us, and I'm sorry we don't have sweets, but someday soon we will have sweets.
Great. Thank you.
You're bringing them, Splend?
No, Ralph's daughter is our resident baker, and she's wonderful.
Marvelous bakery.
She's wonderful.
I'll tell you that. Incredible.
Well, it's nice April has some experience in the county. So I'm sure Rachel will tell you it's a challenge.
Okay, it looks to me, I mean, just from my view, that we've definitely got a quorum. Do April and Rachel, do you agree? And we can get started?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Okay, so I'd like to call the meeting to order. Or did you bring in the public already?
So
Rachel?
let's first call the meeting to order, and then we'll do a roll call, and then after that we'll have a public comment.
Right. Well, that's what I want to get to. I just want to make sure you've opened it up, the public hearing. So let's. I'm calling the meeting to order. Welcome. This is a special meeting of Alameda County Local Agency Formation Commission. We'll start off, please, with a roll call.
Chair Splendorio.
Here.
Commissioner Miley.
Here.
Commissioner Hobart. Commissioner Brown.
Here.
Commissioner Warner.
Here.
Commissioner Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Wieskamp.
Here.
Alternate Commissioner Chan. Alternate Commissioner Hernandez. Alternate Commissioner Von Heater.
Hernandez is here.
Halbert is here.
Georgine Von Heater is here.
Thank you. I will change those. Let the record reflect, roll has been taken. We have a quorum.
Thank you very much, everyone. I think the only one absent would be Supervisor Chan. Am I correct?
That's correct.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for attending on the special meeting. So first item on the agenda is public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the public to speak on to the commission upon items that are not on our agenda. And you're limited to 3 minutes. Madam Clerk, do we have any public speakers?
Oh, excuse me, Chair, we do, and I will let them talk, and that is Member Kelly.
Okay.
Hi, My name is Kelly Abreu, and it is an honor to speak to the much rumored but little cited local agency formation commission of Alameda County. First off, I'd like to talk about that you are a public commission and your meetings are subject to the Brown Act. And any tape or film record, and then nowadays, Zoom meetings have really changed the landscape. So now we use, flash memory, not tape, not film, to record and open a public meeting made for whatever purpose by or at the direction of the local agency is subject to the Public Records Act. I know some of you are lawyers, so you'd probably can figure out where I get those words. And when I ask for records from past meetings, like a month ago or 2 months ago or whatever, I wonder if you guys know how to get those, because I've been trying for a while and I haven't been able to get the audio from one of the past meetings. So please take very care. At the upper left of the screen, it says record. If you can just be very careful to keep the records and make them available to the public. Also, a couple of months ago, there were 2 special studies examining the impact of Measure D on agriculture. Why not look at the impact of LAFCO city annexations on the urban growth boundary, which is part of Measure D? Why not look at the impact of the microbrewery ordinance, which some of you were actually paid lobbyists for the microbrewery ordinance. The chair of this commission was a paid lobbyist for the microbrewery ordinance. Why not look at the impact of that on traffic safety and event center siting? And then I'd like to step you back. There was a county investigation of independent investigation of county permitting released the day before yesterday, sponsored by District 1. Most people here are sitting in District 1. And this commission a couple of months ago looked at civil grand jury nominations for the 2022 term. And this all ties back together because in 2015, a civil grand jury that maybe you looked at their nominations back then, I know some of you have been around that long and a lot longer than that, they had an investigation of county permitting also. It was an independent investigation sponsored by the Alameda County Civil Grand Jury. And their findings were incredible. They found a lot of political interference in the permitting process, and they recommended structural changes in the management and the reporting structure. So if everybody can go back and reread the findings and recommendations of the Civil Grand Jury from 2014-2015, I think it's page 19, very important reading there. And also that report is available. That's an independent investigation of county permitting. It's very interesting because a lot of the problems they're pointing at are real. They're very real. And just because it's that the investigation doesn't look at the whole story, doesn't mean that the problems they found, those there are some bad things happening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other public speakers?
Chair, I do not see any additional public speakers in the audience.
Thank you very much. Let's turn to item number 4, which is a proposed annexation of North Livermore Avenue to the city of Livermore. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Chair. So the commission will consider today a change of organization proposal filed by the city of Livermore to annex 2 unincorporated parcels totaling 22.8 acres for the development of a 4,737 square foot drive-through restaurant, and this is referred to as the Chick-Fil-a Project. The project site has a CITIS address of 1754 North Livermore Avenue, and it is contiguous to the city's jurisdictional boundary, and it's also within the city's sphere of influence. Now, the primary purpose of the proposal is to provide municipal services to the affected territory consistent with the commercial and open space uses to that of the surrounding area. The municipal services proposed are aligned with services already provided within the area, and these services include police and fire protection, wastewater services, and road maintenance and flood control services. And these are just some of them. The affected territory consists of 2 parcels, one totaling 1.6 acres, and that is currently zoned as industrial use under the county general plan. and the other totaling 21.2 acres currently zoned as agricultural and located within a water management area. And this is again identified under the county general plan. Now, development for the Chick-Fil-A project, if annexed, will occur on all of that 1.6 acre parcel and approximately on only just 1 acre of that 21.2 acre parcel. The majority of the affected territory, if annexed, will remain undeveloped as open space land consistent with its current land use designation and identified by the county and the natural topography of the area. And that includes the Arroyo Las Positos Creek and drainage basin. Now, the timing of the proposed change of organization appears appropriate and is highlighted by the analysis of the factors required for consideration under LAFCO law and anytime a jurisdictional change is proposed. A couple of these factors include the affected territory is substantially surrounded by the city of Livermore and an established commercial area with urban services. The proposed development and annexation are consistent with the present and probable uses of the area. The requested change of organization would facilitate urban development under the city's land use authority and clearly distinguish the city's responsibility to provide urban municipal services, including police and fire protection, flood control, and other governmental services. The city deemed in its will serve letter that it does have the present and planned capacity to serve the affected territory for the proposed development and open space land use designation. The affected territory does not qualify as agricultural land under the Cortese-Knox-Hertzberg Reorganization Act of 2000. Specifically, the affected territory is not used in the following manner to produce an agricultural commodity for commercial purposes. It has not been left fallow under a crop rotational program, or it has not been enrolled in an agricultural subsidy program. So under these definitions, under the Cortese-Knox-Hertzberg Act, LAFCO, we do not deem both parcels as agricultural land, and the proposed annexation will not affect the physical and economic integrity of agricultural lands. Now, the affected territory is also, it's not located within the county's Measure D's urban growth boundary. And both parcels are located within the city's sphere of influence. So please note that a sphere of influence is a planning boundary outside of an agency's or city's legal boundary, and such as the city limit line that designates to LAFCO that the city is the probable future boundary and service area. Commissions cannot tell agencies what their land use goals should be, but rather on a regional level, LAFCO can coordinate the orderly development of a community through reconciling differences between agency plans or city plans so that the most efficient urban service managements are created for the benefit of the area and the residents and property owners. Now, under Alameda LAFCO's policies, the commission shall seek to approve changes of organization that encourage and provide planned, well-ordered, efficient development patterns that include the appropriate preservation and conservation of open space and prime agricultural lands within and around developed areas and contribute to orderly formation and development of local agencies based upon local circumstances and conditions. With this proposal, the City of Livermore has pre-zoned the subject parcels with the land use designation of commercial highway service and business commercial for the 2.6 acres of the proposed development area of the affected territory, and open space floodplain and general open space use for the remaining land within the affected territory. Both land use designations are deemed consistent with the City of Livermore's general plan and the current designation by the county, thus demonstrating the timing of the proposed change of organization appears sufficient given the reference planning consistency and city capacity to service the area. Now, at this time, staff hasn't identified any major boundary amendments at this time, but that is left up to the commission discretion, and you know, we have no further conditions of approval for the annexation that is proposed right now. Other items to note is that the City of Livermore serves as the lead agency for assessing potential impacts of the proposal under the California Environmental Quality Act, given that the jurisdictional change is intended to facilitate the development of a city-approved development project. The city determined that the proposed development and annexation qualify as a project under CEQA, and they have prepared an initial study and mitigated negative declaration, and that indicates that no significant adverse environmental impacts would result from the project, with mitigation incorporated into that. The initial study identified mitigation measures that will reduce any potential impacts to less than significant, and staff independently concurs with the city that it has made the appropriate determinations. Also, please note, the City of Livermore and the County of Alameda have adopted a property tax exchange agreement in step with the proposed change of organization based on the computed 1% share of the property tax revenue generated from the total assessed value of the parcels proposed for annexation. And lastly, the commission waives protest proceedings given that the affected territory is uninhabited as defined under LAFCO law, and the subject landowners have provided their respective written consent to the change of organization proposal. With that, staff recommends the commission proceed with alternative action 1 by adopting the draft resolution identified in attachment 1 of the staff report, approving the change of organization proposal annexing 1754 North Livermore Avenue to the City of Livermore with standard terms. With that, I will return the item to the chair for any questions and to open the public hearing. Also, please note that we do again have city planning staff, Andy Ross, the applicant for representative from the City of Livermore, as a panelist, and I believe we probably do have one of the developers on that project too in the audience for any questions. Commissioner Splendorio, I think here I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Very much. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I apologize. Perhaps it might be an opportunity for the applicant or for the City of Livermore if they want to say anything at this time. If not, I can allow or have the commissioners ask any questions. Is there any desire on the applicant to, at this point?
Not at this time, Chair Splendorio, but city staff's available for any questions you might have.
Right. Okay, and I have some questions later on, but at this point, does anyone have any questions regarding the staff report?
I think I see it, Chair. I see a hand raised by
yes,
Commissioner
Brown.
Yes, hi. We also have a Chick-Fil-A, and they are extremely busy. So, and they also are located right near an In-N-Out Burger, which is interesting. But it's not clear to me, so if you wouldn't mind answering, of the 22 acres, what portion is going to be the Chick-fil-A and the queuing? Because you certainly wouldn't want it to queue on to North Livermore. And I know this is kind of a city question, so I guess I'm just trying to wrap my head around how this layout would occur on this site, if that's right.
So, Chair, I think I can answer some of that question if we look to the map on my screen.
It's really small on my screen. If you go in really close, because it's very tiny. I don't know if you can zoom in.
I don't know if I can do that, but mainly it will be developed, excuse me. Well, hold on now. Let's see. It will be developed on 1.6 acres of that total 22.8 acres of the parcel. And it will be a sliver on that North Livermore Avenue, and then access will be granted, I believe, on that adjoining street of Arroyo. And hold on, let me play from the start. And so the proposed parcel line will almost touch that creek of Arroyo Las Positas Creek. And access, I think, will come down North Livermore Avenue, and then I know the city is creating a street light to include traffic, so there's better access to get into the Chick-fil-A site. And if I'm misspeaking, Andy, please jump in.
No, that's correct. There's an existing signalized intersection that'll be modified to accommodate access to the site, and the traffic will be directed towards the western portion away from North Livermore Avenue, so that it has a queuing capacity of nearly 30 vehicles.
Good. And I know you probably know Mike DeSano at City of Pleasanton, but our Chick-fil-A, so in some ways I'm glad there'll be other options, but our Chick-fil-A easily queues 50 to 70 cars every evening. And we've had to change queuing routes significantly. So I'm just offering it as just food for thought. Haha, pun, food for thought. But it has been a problem. But that was my only question, and I appreciate the additional information.
Well, Commissioner Brown, that is much more advice than chicken feed, I think. Okay, does any other commissioner have any questions? I don't have everybody on the screen, so maybe you have to.
So, Chair, I see Commissioner Miley with a raised hand.
Yeah, I'm sorry, he's not on my screen, so please go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to just ask real quickly, did Alameda County Planning have any objections, concerns, or about the annexation?
Commissioner Miley, no comments have been received or written protests from either the planning agency or the Public Works Department of the county.
Okay, and was there any written objections or concerns from anyone else in the public?
No.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other commissioner? So I do have some questions. It's more of a, let me just tell you my concern here, and I'm glad that Andy Ross is here because I think he's going to be prepped to respond to these. I had a concern under our policies that our LAFCO policies that we are to consider annexations in light of property that is use the word in the path of development, and I was concerned that while I have no issue with the Chick-fil-A and adding, and this is the right, this is a good place, a good land that should be annexed into the city because of its location, basically surrounded by the city and Interstate 580. But beyond the Chick-fil-A, I didn't understand why other development wasn't considered for the remainder of the property, or if it's not to be developed, is there been a consideration that that it has such constraints that it cannot be developed? And all I read in the staff report is that it's in the floodplain, and I looked at that and I said, well, a lot of other properties must be in the floodplain, and having somewhat familiarity with this location, I couldn't understand why that would be the only constraint. So I had hoped that there would be a discussion of what was to be done with the rest of it, and my concern is that when, like I said, we have a policy, but also we have while the city of Livermore has done a great job with providing housing and other needed quality of life issues within our county, could this be used for desperately needed housing or some other purpose? So I learned, and maybe I can turn it over to Andy Ross, that there has been that the city did consider this and looked at it, and there are parts or facts that we aren't in our staff report. So, and Andy, would you mind filling me in that actually the city did an assessment of the potential of this property and what it intends to do with it?
Yes, absolutely happy to shed some light on that. So as Ms. Jones alluded to, there's two parcels that are being annexed. And one of them, so this is two parts to answer your question. So in terms of annexing to facilitate development, there are two parcels that are being annexed. One's about 22.5 acres and the other is just under a 1/4 acre. So both are being annexed in order to facilitate the subdivision to create the 1.6 acres as a buildable site for Chick-fil-A. Now the remainder, 20+ acres, is left designated as open space, has a zoning of open space, and staff did look at the development potential and found it inappropriate for other urban uses because of both the floodplain issues, but also some of the intrinsic habitat values. So as part of this project and the subdivision that will follow, the applicant is actually dedicating that land to the city. It will be encumbered with an easement, conservation easement in the future, and that'll help. The city is exploring ways to restore the area and protect some of the habitat and some of the floodplain as part of a restoration or mitigation project. So hopefully that answers some of your questions.
Yeah, thank you. And if I can only add that I understand that because of the conservation easement, that it may serve as mitigation for other development or other amenities within the city that would also be beneficial to your citizens. Does that sound right, Andy?
That is correct.
Thank you. Okay. So thank you. Like I said, I wanted to make the commission and the public clear that, that I was concerned that this land, could be built upon and used for a higher and best use, but the city did what it did, and it analyzed it and found that that it has certain beneficial uses, but not necessarily for further development. But it will help in terms of mitigating for other development, and that seems appropriate to me. Any other questions by anyone before I open the public hearing? Okay. Andrew, I'd like to ask a question. Do I need a motion to open or close the public hearing?
We discussed this at the commission's last regular meeting. I think that was after you left, Commissioner, and I had advised that was not necessary.
Thank you very much. All right, let me open the public hearing. Rachel or April, is there anyone from the public who would like to speak?
Chair Splendorio, I do not see any members from the public wishing to comment at this time.
Thank you very much. So unless I wait 2 more seconds, I will close the public hearing. And at this point in time, I'd like to entertain a motion by the commission.
Also moved. The annexation.
And
Brown seconds the motion.
Okay, thank you. Warner makes the motion. Commissioner Brown seconds. Any discussion? Again, I can't see the entire screen if anyone's raising their hand, but if you please speak up. Okay, having heard none, can I call the question?
So April, if you could take roll.
Sure. Chair Splendorio.
Yes.
Commissioner Miley.
Aye.
Commissioner Hobart.
Aye.
Commissioner Brown.
Aye.
Commissioner Warner.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Wieskamp.
Yes.
Let the record reflect the motion passes.
And thank you very much. That is the extent of our calendar. And before I close, I'd like to thank April. You did a great job the first time calling roll and calling roll for a vote.
Thank you.
Hopefully there'll be many more of those for you.
Looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If there's no further business, then we'll adjourn the meeting.
Rachel, would you stay on for a moment?
Absolutely. And
all right.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioners. And I'll see you at our next meeting, May 13th.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, so Rachel, a couple of things.
Uh-huh.
One, if I think it just makes sense to take roll with